Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing here today at Rue Morgue.
Okay, I'd like to make a suggestion? We start over again? Let me read.
Me in it?
Yes.
Oh, well then, I have to take this one. He stole my bag.
Okay.
It's not about me, it's about you.
Okay, coming up in 3, 2, 1. Do it.
Hi.
I'm here because my good friend Rodrigo Gudino, who is the publisher and owner of Rue Morgue magazine, the preeminent horror magazine worldwide, is starting his first own Comic-Con or festival. He was involved with Fan Expo in Toronto for a million years, helped grow that to astonishing heights, and then decided he was going to go off on his own. Ergo, Dark Carnival. Our show was very popular. Our show, that is the Hilarious House of Frightenstein, has been very well received all around the world. We shot it, as you know, Tammy, for CHCH TV in Hamilton, who then went on to syndicate it across Canada, and then it was syndicated across the US, and then it was syndicated abroad. As a matter of fact, I just talked to a gal from the UK who's a fan. I talked to somebody recently from Madrid who was a fan. And I talked to a guy, a strange guy, had a big tattoo of Igor, one of our characters, on his arm. And he said he watched it as recently as a year ago in Norway. So there you go.
But he got a tattoo. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, that's a fan. Yeah, I know you did a show called Fanatics, but that's a fan. Yeah. Matter of fact, I did a show last summer, and a gal rolled up her whatever, skirt or dress, whatever, and she showed me she had just put a huge tattoo of Vincent Price on her leg, on her shin. And I said, oh, well, that's very interesting, looking at her a little bit askance like that. And she said, well, I'm putting the rest of you, the rest of the cast members from the Hilarious House of Frightenstein, on the other leg, and guess what? You're next. Oh, I said, well, that's great. Just send me an email as soon as it's done.
How far up the leg, though?
Shin. Yeah, I think I'm going to be the shin bone. I think I'm going to be the shin bone.
That's still quite the compliment, the shin bone.
I'm very happy with it. She can put me anywhere she wants. Tattoo, that is. We're at the very early stages of doing a documentary about the Hilarious House of Frightenstein, because our show over the years inspired lots and lots of people. People the likes of Mike Myers and Jim Carrey and the SCTV guys and Alice Cooper, and the list just goes on and on and on. So somebody approached me and said, have you ever thought of doing a documentary? And to make a long story short, we're at the very early stages of actually going forward and doing that. We're putting together what we call in the industry a sizzle reel, which is a short, 4-minute reel that is sufficient to induce whomever to invest in the production of this thing. So we're looking to get a bunch of government money and some independent corporate money, and probably take about a year beginning to end to produce it, and then we're going to enter it in film festivals all around the world. And the title, I think, will be enough to open doors at film festivals around the world. I think I've come up with a great name for it. In very small letters, the title is going to be, in 1970, a small independent TV station in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, wanted to produce a pseudo-horror kids TV show, ... And then in great big blanking letters, it's going to say, and Vincent Price said yes. So the abbreviated title will be, and Vincent Price said yes. And I think Vincent Price's name being pretty well as big, if not bigger, than Campbell's Soup, it will open, as long as the content is there in the documentary, and it will be, because we've got a couple real pros from Dover that are now pulling it all together. I think we'll probably get accepted in all the major film festivals in the world, and it's nice to win awards from those, and then it makes it easier to get a theatrical run and on Netflix and from there, yeah.
So if I have a cute little story that I wanted to share with you for your documentary, could I do that?
Oh, Tammy.
Not me personally. Maybe someone else.
What a warm, wonderful person you are. I forgot to mention how they get in touch with me, and you just said, hey, wake up, Mitch. I know it's Sunday morning, but you got to be awake, man. You do these interviews. Yes, if anybody has a funny story or an interesting anecdote, or you visited our set once at CHCH and just put a little prop in your pocket or whatever, please get in touch with me. You can reach me at superhippy, HIPPY.com. Tell me your story or anecdote, and if we're interested in it, putting it in the documentary, we'll get back in touch with you. As a matter of fact, on the last day of shooting the show, all of a sudden, Brucey, our monster that the Count could never bring back to life again, his head disappeared. So if somebody out there has the head, no hard feelings, we won't call the police, give us the head back, or we'll even buy the head back because we'd like to use it in the documentary. By the way, there's going to be couple little interesting pieces of animation in the documentary. There was a very funny story that we've decided to animate. We wanted a sight gag for the opening of the show, so we hired what's politically correct to say these days, a little person to be the Count. His name was Guy Big, and he was 31 inches tall. He was about 34, I guess, at the time. That was his age. And we hired a huge guy, 350-pound guy, to be Igor. And we thought, as soon as you see a Count that's this high and an Igor that's that big, it would be funny. So the plan was we were going to get them both to come out to our house. My brother and I were living in a big house, well, I guess a mansion in Etobicoke, the west side of Toronto. We did the pre-production for the show there as well. So the plan was they were going to come out to the house, and I was going to run through their lines for 2 or 3 days. Well, Fishka, the guy who played Igor, drove a Volkswagen Beetle. And if you can picture this, he was 350 pounds. So he was slightly bigger than the Volkswagen. He lived downtown in Toronto, and Guy Big lived downtown. And Guy Big couldn't drive for obvious reasons. So they met each other downtown. They drove out together. It was the funniest sight because the house was set back from the road fairly dramatically. There was a big driveway. And Igor's Volkswagen was not in the best of shape. It was held together with duct tape and bandages, and smoke came blowing out of the exhaust pipe, gray smoke at that. So he pulled into the driveway, and then he opened the door and somehow squeezed his way out of the car. There was a big popping sound when he actually got through the doorway. And the little guy, the Count, Guy Big, jumped down from his seat to the asphalt because he couldn't spread his legs that far. It was quite the sight. So we decided to animate that little segment, and it is so blanking cool to see the broken down Volkswagen, Igor getting out with a big pop when he gets out of the car, and Guy Big jumping out. And we cheated a little bit. We put Igor and Guy Big in their costumes in the animation, and we put me meeting them in the driveway, but instead of dressed in my civvies, I'm wearing my super hippie costume. I don't know if we talked about it yet, but aside from being the associate producer, my brother and I produced the show, I did a little, as you know, Tammy, I did a little cameo in all 130-hour-long episodes as a character called Super Hippy. I was this skinny little 120-pound Jewish guy with a skin-tight Superman costume and a huge blonde afro. And by the way, my friend Tammy was kind enough the last time we worked together to make a little Super Hippie doll for me, and she dyed the hair yellow and everything. I love it. I still have it in a prominent place in Casa Markowitz. Anyway, where did I leave off? The animation. So we have me in my Super Hippie costume flying out to greet the Volkswagen, and it's very cool. It's only probably a minute, that whole thing, maybe even less. But he did it old school, so there's 30 cells, like each piece is on a cell. There's 30 cells per second. So even if that piece is only 30 or 40 seconds, times 30, you can imagine the amount of work that's gone into it. Anyway, we animated that, and I think we're animating one other piece, and that's all going to be in the documentary, which is going to be called In 1970, and Vincent Price said yes.
Can I be on it? I have such good memories.
I think your name is already on the list. You're already taken care of. Don't worry about it.
I could talk to you all day.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I have a great time every time we work together. And as far as any of the other people who have interviewed me this week, forget about it. Nobody's like you. You're the best. Go to black.
I have a really important question for Mitch. Mitch and I have become good friends, but this is a really important question that I forgot to ask, so we're going to go ask it. I forgot to ask you something. This is very important. Did you eat your lunch?
Not yet.
Did you take a break?
Not yet.
The con is almost over.
Yet. When it's over, I'll take a break and I'll eat. And I love you, Tammy.